we pray. Amen. Brother Joey, come.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank the Daniels family. Where's your mom? Did she go downstairs to the nursery? Oh, okay. Last weekend was a little wild, and I was at work on Monday, and we're trying to figure out what vehicles we're going to take and how we're going to make it. And a couple of the a few of the people going on the trip got sick, and we're still praying for Sapphire and her recovery, and she's doing well. But last weekend it was, we're trying to figure out logistically how are we going to get everyone down there. We got all this luggage. I don't even know if we're going to be able to fit the people, let alone the luggage. And the Daniels just stepped up and said, you can use our van, and that was a massive blessing, huge blessing. I would also like to thank all the teenage girls for helping out Rebecca the whole week with Josie. If you don't know, which we've said it probably a dozen times by now, she's expecting again, so she's not feeling well as it is, plus we're taking care of a 7-month-old. I'm driving. So the whole way down, the whole trip, the whole way back, he would, just the quickest little fuss, and they would jump right in and, throw toys at him, whatever. Not throw them, but just take care of him, and it was a huge blessing. They would hold him whenever Rebecca needed, and it was a massive blessing. So I am super thankful for all the girls jumping in and helping Rebecca. I'm going to go ahead, and before I testify, and I'll just be 2 minutes, let's lay some ground rules here. Whoever went on the trip, you can testify. Doesn't matter if you're a teenager, adult, whatever. Brother Freddie, he's probably going to testify next, and just wherever you are, he'll bring the mic to you. Keep it to 60 seconds, all right? So, normally, I'm at the summit, and Brother Jose and I were talking about this yesterday, and Brother Freddie. Thursday night of the summit, it's just, the Spirit is just so rich. And I sit there and I think, and they close in prayer, and I'm thinking, I don't want to leave, because it's just, and there was still that feeling this year. But this year I sat there thinking, let's go home and make it happen. I've said this a few times. These conferences are amazing and these meetings are fantastic. But, as a young man wanting to serve the Lord, you go, year after year and you get fired up, and then the whole year goes by and it's like, I don't, how much longer. I feel like I'm spinning my wheels and all these things. And this year I left motivated, like, let's go do something for the Lord. Let's honor the Lord. Let's go home and let's just glorify God. Let's go home and show the world how awesome God is. I'm so thankful for this week. I'm so thankful for all the preachers and the music. And I think, listening to everyone the past few days, it seems like the Lord worked in everyone's heart a little bit differently. The Lord would use a certain sermon to bless one person. He'd use a certain song to bless another person. They sang the song Thursday night, My Cup is Overflowed. And I really could talk for hours. I need to shut up in just 30 seconds. Because I'm speechless. On one hand, I'm speechless, just standing in awe. On the other hand, I can't stop talking about it because it was unreal. Pastor Clark preached. I'll tell you one story, and then I'll shut up. I said last Sunday, excuse me, that I pray every day that the Lord would call our baby boy to be a missionary. And Wednesday afternoon, I saw Don Sisk just standing by himself. And if you don't know who he is, he was a missionary to Japan. I think they said he's 90 years old now. And so I said, I'm going to go talk to him. And I was holding Josie. So we went up, and I introduced myself. And I said, this is my son. And I pray every day, I've prayed for over a year now, that the Lord would call him to be a missionary. And Brother Sisk, he's a short little man. He looked up at me, and he said, people don't pray that anymore. And it was such a cool moment, and I'm so thankful for that interaction. It was such a good week. God just moved so powerfully. And I need to finish. I'm done. I need to finish. So, Brother Freddie, if you want to help me out with the mic, if you want to go ahead, you can go ahead. I'm just going to sit up here. Again, when Brother Freddie's done, keep it to 60 seconds because there's a lot of us. When we're done, we're done. So testify, whatever, sermon, whatever, however the Lord worked in your life. But keep it short, all right?
If you actually want to know all of my thoughts about it, Matt and I did a podcast of it. It's on YouTube, so that I'll keep mine short. What I really want to thank is all of you for supporting our teenagers through Chili Night, through all the different things that you did to make this possible. Since we gave a shout out to the girls, I'm going to give a shout out to the guys. They were excellent. Kevin, Stephen, and Brother Jose were just always ready, always having the right spirit, and they really helped each other a lot and was encouraging to each other and encouraging to other folks and really helped with the spirit. Mom's not here, unfortunately, so one thing that she said that really moved her, it's something that we always enjoy, really was the music. The music was so moving there. She said that if she closed her eyes, she almost could understand what it feels like to be singing in heaven. That's before, I know Pastor said that before, and many of us have already also said it, but it never gets old when you hear the music that really moves you. We also just, the messages were so fitting for all of us. A lot of us were getting a little discouraged with so many different things, but then for some reason the sermon was exactly what's needed. I can talk about every single one of them, but I'm not going to because I have a tendency to go really long. But you have to be proud of our teenagers. The fact that you see them grasping it. You see them wanting to be hungry for the Lord and wanting to keep it up. I'm sure he'll testify, but Kevin just joined the choir, so that's really, really cool. And that's something, them making these kind of decisions, you had a part in that. And so we really thank you for supporting them and to being able to just push them and encourage them. And there's a big hope for America if the rest of our teenagers in all across churches will do the same.
Who's next?
Who's next? Raise your hand.
So firstly, I just want to say thank you to Pastor and all the leadership for supporting us and going and leading us and going, and for everyone in the church family who supported us. The summit is a very special time because it's a couple of days you get to take out of the year and just spend with Jesus. And I know you guys have been praying for my mom, and I very much appreciate that. And being able to step away from her for a little bit, and it's hard to say because you don't want to leave your mom when she's struggling in life, but to step away and go spend time with Jesus and see that he is still God and he's still good and he has a plan for all of this, even though you're like, well, God, if you want to lay out the step-by-step plan, because I don't, God, an idea what you're doing right now, just to be in the worship and the fellowship with the Christians, it was a very good time and a very good God and a good company and very much needed in my life. So just thank you for all of that and everything, and praise to Jesus. So that's it.
I just want to thank everybody too, Brother Joey, Miss Rebecca, Pastor, Miss Amy, Brother Freddie, and also my sister for driving me there. Just none of that would have happened without you guys, so I just want to thank you. The experience was just amazing for somebody my age to be able to say, like, yeah, I went there and I did this when I was 17 was just amazing. The music was amazing, the preaching was amazing. All about it was just Jesus. Nothing else was on my mind but that. So I just want to thank everybody for made that happen for me, and I thank you for everything.
Okay, I guess we're going down the line.
Hold on. Did you catch that? That was good. It was nothing but Jesus. Dude, I like that. Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, since we're going down the line, I guess I'm going to speak now. Anyways, I don't know how to start this. So I kind of want to start this with saying my journey with God, because I would say I think it was 2 years ago, if anybody can catch me if I'm wrong. I think 2 years ago, I was the first time I stepped inside this church. And it was the first time I ever willingly stepped in a church for pretty much all my life. I had never thought in my life I would be doing this, I would be here. People who know about my past, like Freddie, on Thursday night, we like stood up to like 4 in the morning. I was so dead in the morning. But we stood up to like 4 in the morning, like, and I like talked to him like about my past, and like I taught him, like not taught him, but like I talked to him, and like I told him, it was like, if you knew about what I have went through, you never would have thought I would have ended up here. And it was, to this day, I'm still like I'm still like surprised. I'm happy for it, you know. Like it really did change my life, and it changed it for better. And if people who knew me back then and then look at me now, they're like, "Who is that? Is that you, Kevin?" And I'm like, "Yes." But and it was just nice. And when I went to the summit, it was like every single time I go to the summit, like something about me just changes, and it's a really nice feeling. It's also a very scary feeling, but because I don't know why, but after like Wednesday night, for some reason, it was like God was just like pew pew, and it was like just shooting songs into my head, and I couldn't stop like just singing songs, and I was like, what is happening? And it kind of like made me feel like he was telling me, he's like, you need to sing, like you need to start to sing. And that's why I joined the choir, because I just couldn't stop singing. I was like, I tried to stop myself, but he was like, nope, just keep singing. I'm like, okay. So it was a really nice and humbling experience, and I enjoyed it very well. It was a very nice experience, and I can't wait for next year.
I'll say one thing. Never mind, actually, that. I appreciate Pastor and Miss Amy and Joey and Miss Rebecca for taking us and everything. And I'll say one thing. I forget who said it, but they said the summit is the closest thing to heaven. And that was really good.
It was such a blessing. Tuesday night, Pastor Clark and Dr. Gibbs preached both from Nehemiah, and I've never heard anyone preach from Nehemiah, so I thought that was weird. They challenged me to do more, and that was really nice.
Who's next?
I'm really thankful for everyone who made this trip possible. I really liked when Brother Shirley talked about that doesn't matter where you are or where you come from, you can still shine your light.
Thank you, Brother Joe and Miss Rebecca, for this trip, and it was really amazing. And the part I liked was singing, and the best song was "Is He Worthy?"
I thank Brother Joey, Miss Rebecca, Pastor, and Miss Amy for making this possible. I really enjoyed the preaching, and it really blessed my heart.
Amen. Excellent.
Sorry, I'm standing up. I'm going to head right back down after all this. But I try to keep myself or my personal life away. I don't like letting people know things about me. But I'll be honest with you, these last couple months I've been struggling with a lot of things. Nothing but God's been kind of like breaking me. And on Wednesday night, Brother Kenny Baldwin preached a message, and he said one statement, and it hit me so hard, because I'm like, that's me. And he said, Christians expect so much. We expect God to give us everything. And then when God says no to us, we kind of just throw a tantrum. And that was me, because God's been telling me no on this, and I've just been throwing a tantrum and just saying, God, it's not fair. God, it's not fair. But the truth is, the only thing that's fair is I deserve hell. But when he said that, I'm like, God, I just got to stop. I got to kind of just let you work, and I got to stop like trying to control it all. I just got to let him work. And if you feel that way, like God is saying no all the time, just let him work. I don't know everything, but I know that every time he's told me no, something better has come out of it. Yes, and that's really what I got out on Wednesday night. But the whole trip, and I thank Pastor, I thank Joe, I thank all of them, the whole trip was just, as everybody has been expressing, a vacation with Jesus, basically. Just nice. Didn't have to worry about anything for a couple of days. Just got to praise God for 3 days, and it was worth every penny I put on it.
Okay, so first I just want to thank everybody who helped fund the trip. It was really definitely worth going, and I'm gonna try to keep this fast. And if I just I really hate public speaking. Let's just get that out there. So I was told to go into this with no expectations. My only expectations were to get 2 smoothies a day. So and those were exceeded. So I was told to not expect anything from this because I was told it could go exactly like how it did last year, or it couldn't. And I was like, okay. So the first night, it was cool, it was fine. And then Wednesday night, I think it was before Don Sisk preached. I don't know what happened, but I just started bawling. I hate crying. I absolutely despise it. When my grandpa died, I didn't cry. I hate crying. So I don't know what this was, but I was not a fan of it. And I was like, if I don't go to the bathroom right now, I'm just gonna curl up into a ball and die. So I grabbed onto Rebecca and I don't know. I just kind of started crying and I didn't really know why. So the next day at the hotel, I talked to her and she was like, it's probably because God's making your heart tender. And I was like, oh great, now I have to be nice to people. So she just told me to, whatever God's trying to do, just let him do it. And I was like, I don't know about that because I'm pretty stubborn and I like doing things my way. So I went into Thursday night kind of open, but also kind of not, because I'm a very stubborn person. I want to do things my way. And so Pastor Wilkerson preached, and he told a story about these 2 people, an atheist and an agnostic, sitting in a park, and then, long story short, they got saved, and the guy was called to be a preacher. And then when he was telling that part, I was like, he said, oh, well, when I see you up there preaching, I feel like I could do that. And something inside me kind of said, hey, I kind of feel that way, with Rebecca. But I just kind of brushed it aside because I feel like I can do anything. I feel like I could do NASCAR because I like to drive my dad's car fast. So I just brushed it aside as nothing. And Brother Shirley preached. He was talking about shining your light. And it felt like, because he did this thing where he pointed, and he pointed in my direction, but it felt like he was pointing directly at me, and I just kind of wanted to shrink in a ball because I didn't want to accept it. I don't want to give up what I want to do. And it's really scary when you wanted something your entire life, but you feel something pulling you in another direction. And I'm still kind of really scared to give that. Mom, don't look at me. It's really scary when you want something for your whole life, and then all of a sudden you feel this thing that's kind of pulling you in another direction and telling you, I want you to do this instead. You can still do that, but I want you to do it my way. And it's terrifying. So at the end of the service, I sat down with Rebecca and I told her, I kind of want to do what you do, you know. Maybe being famous doesn't work out and all. I could do that. So I don't know if that means anything, but yeah. And she goes, well, it does mean something, because that means you're kind of surrendering yourself to what God wants for you. And that's horrifying. It's terrifying. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just saying it's scary. But it was definitely worth it to go to the summit, because I don't think I would have been able to get that anywhere else. So.
I wasn't going to say anything, and I'll be really brief, but I just want to say that whatever I am, or however I have served the Lord, it got started as a teenager going to meetings like this. And God was able to do things in my heart away from the day-to-day life. And maybe he was trying in my day-to-day life, but there was something about going away and just focusing on him for a little bit that really allowed him to touch my heart and to let me know he wanted me to serve him. And we don't know where God's going to take anyone. However, when you bought a dessert, or you bought a root beer float, or you invested something in the lives of one of these young people, you get the rewards for that too. And the fact that they were able to be so open and so close to the Lord this week is because there was financial freedom to go. And I want to thank you, everybody who gave, everyone who prayed. This happened. We had such a wonderful week, partly due to you, and I want to thank you for that.
Let's give them a big hand. Let me say a couple more things, and I'll piggyback on my mom. A couple of weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, I preached about not putting Jesus in a box, not sizing him up. And what you just heard was the result of people not limiting Jesus and not putting him in a box. Man, there were so many good things said there. It wasn't just, we went bowling and we had a good time. Where in the world do you hear young people say it was all about Jesus? Where in your week do you get that? Man, what a blessing. And I also want to piggyback and say thank you. I mean, so many things. Chili night, the root beer floats. It was great, man. And you have a part in that, and it's such a blessing. If you were here last year and you remember the testimony time last year, it seems like it's like he was trying to break the shell of a lot of these people who went, these young people. He was just trying to get their attention. This year was a little more nuts and bolts. I talked to a lot of guys this week. I had friends there, all young guys, and we all looked around like, I didn't even want to come this week because it was, I just wanted to, like Aaron said, just wanted to curl up in a little ball and cry. I just didn't even want to come. Honestly didn't even feel like it. And honestly, I can relate to that. I was like, if I wasn't driving for this trip, I don't even know if I would go. But God just has a way of getting a hold of you. And he got our attention. And it wasn't just, let's all sing and praise Jesus. It was a lot of nuts and bolts, a lot of let's go home and let's do something for the Lord. I'm excited. These young people you heard this morning, if there's any group of people where God's going to reveal himself, it's them. It's the young people, it's the young adults. let's stand behind them. They're only a month away from going back to school. Kevin's going back to college. This is not easy for them. And they're going to be bombarded with the toughest things imaginable. I'm only a few years older than them. And the things they're dealing with these days, I didn't have to deal with that. And I'm only a few years older. They are being attacked with things we can't even imagine. Stick with them. Stand behind them. Some of you might be sitting there thinking, oh man, these kids are just, they're making it all about themselves. No, they're not. Stick with them. Stand with them. Encourage them. Help them. Honestly, some of you would say, I would never do that. It would put me in a weird position. Give them your personal testimony. If some of them could hear the way you got saved, it would help them to stay faithful. Encourage them. Buy a new Bible for them and give it to them. But show them how great God is, how great living for Him is, how great knowing Him is. It's awesome. Show that to them. Let's give them a hand one more time.
The teenagers are going to come up and sing. I think you guys have just a small thank you for Brother Joey and Miss Rebecca. Is that right? Why don't you come up to sing and bring that with you, and just the ensemble come up to sing, bring that with you, and they just want to say thank you for giving us a great week. Amy and I went